ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my first guide for Paragon and what I am calling Rise of the Wraith Lord. As always, I am D, and I thought to start things off right for doing these guides, I would start with one of my mains, namely Sevarog here. Now, in Paragon, Sevarog's role, his major role, is to be the offlane tank for his team. The offlane in this case is the left lane, where the solo player usually will be facing off against the enemy's carry and their support duo. So his major role, just as in most MOBAs, is to hold that lane against the carry support combo. Now he can do this with a couple of abilities, mostly the fact that he is incredibly durable. Before I go on, let me show you. Here on the hero selection screen, if you mouse over a hero, it will actually show you 4 stats: basic attack, ability power, durability, and mobility. Each character is rated from 1 to 10. So if we take a look, mouse over and take a look at Sevarog here, his basic attack and ability power are rated at 4, a little bit below the median. His mobility is rated at 3, so he's not the most mobile of heroes. However, his durability, Sevarog is one of 2 characters in this game that has a durability rating at 10, meaning he is one of the tankiest characters in this entire game. The other abilities he has to help him deal with the aggression of the opposing team and to help slow down the carry and support are he's also got some pretty good aggressive abilities, and he's also got some really good harassment. Now, just as in most MOBAs, characters in Paragon have multiple abilities. You see them on the left over here. Abilities are assigned to 5 different keys, if you want to think of them that way. First off, your basic attack is your left click. Sevarog's is just hammer. He just swings the hammer. Does some basic damage. That's what that axe symbol means. That is physical damage, if you want to think of it that way. One thing it doesn't tell you, and this applies to all melee characters in the game, is that melee characters have a cleaving attack. All of them. This is a passive that all melee characters get for free. You don't have to spend any gold or anything on it. It just happens. If it looks like your hammer as Sevarog hits somebody, it hits somebody. Next up, his right click, Phantom Rush. This is his only mobility skill. He moves forward in the direction you're facing when you cast the skill, and it does allow him to phase through enemies. So it's a good way to escape. It's also a good way to initiate through a creep wave. Next up, Siphon. This is actually basically his bread and butter skill, because it has two modes to it. The active, where he deals a bit of ability damage, or magic damage if you want to think of it that way, to all enemies in the targeted area. It's a very small target area. I can show you when we get into the game. It's the passive on Siphon that is important, though. Sevarog gains soul stacks for killing minions and heroes with any ability. I'm going to stop there and reiterate that again. He gets these stacks for killing minions and heroes with any of his abilities, not just Siphon. Gains 1 soul stack with each minion kill, and 3 per hero. Each soul stack gives Sevarog plus 3 health and adds 1 ability damage to Siphon. The ability damage only goes to Siphon, but the health, of course, goes to Sevarog himself. Now, at 20, 50, 90, and 140 stacks, Sevarog gains bonus health and ability damage. The ability damage, again, only goes to Siphon, but the health is the important part. 20, 30, 40, and 50 health, and 10, 15, 20, and 25 ability damage at each level. One thing about Siphon is if you're fighting against Sevarog, Siphon, you can actually have a rough estimate of how many stacks he might have based on how he looks, because as you see Sevarog here right now, this is his default form. The skin is different, but this is Sevarog's default form. As you gain Siphon stacks at those 4 levels, he builds up better armor on his shoulders. You'll see that when we go into the game. His E ability is also some good harassment, Subjugate. Sevarog targets a circle on the ground and calls down a burst of dark energy that deals some magic damage and applies a root for 1 second to any enemy's hit. When the root expires, targets will have a minus 120 max movement speed slow for 3 seconds. So it's got a good solid root for a full second, and then 3 more seconds after that of actually quite powerful slow. 120 is a decent slow. What this does not tell you, though, on Subjugate, is that it has a delay. When you cast it, there's a small delay of maybe a quarter to half second before that dark energy he summons hits the ground, causing the damage en route. If an enemy is fast enough or paying enough attention, they can get out of the circle. Subjugate is also his only major ranged ability. It's also his most expensive, unfortunately, at 110 mana, whereas everything else is in the 30s and 40s. And then, of course, just like in a MOBA, Sevarog has an ultimate. His ultimate is actually very simple. It's Colossal Blow. It's 75 mana. One mighty swing of his hammer, Sevarog deals some magic damage in the area and knocks back enemy heroes. From testing, as far as I can tell, this does not hurt minions. It just hurts heroes, but it does some serious damage. 146 damage does not sound like a lot for a level 1 ultimate, but you got to keep in mind a lot of people in this game are not going to have like 3 million health. I don't know of a MOBA that ever does that, but hey, you get the point. The knockback is also very useful because while the enemy is in the air, it's acting like a stun. They cannot do anything, they cannot control where they're going, they cannot use abilities or attacks. Colossal Blow is very good for setups. A good combo is use Phantom Rush to get behind an enemy, turn around as you're going because it will not change the direction of the Phantom Rush as far as I remember, and queue up your Colossal Blow so that when you turn around you can just click it and fire off Colossal Blow, launching them hopefully back towards your team, or if you do like I like to do, you can launch them into a tower. Because if they're the only thing in the tower's AoE, the tower will shoot them. Alright, now I'll show off these abilities, of course, a little bit more once we get into the game. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the build I'm going to be using, namely by looking at the deck and the gems. For Sevarog, I like to use my tank deck. This uses the affinities of Death and Growth, which doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense, but it does. So let's take a look at the cards first. For the Growth side, we have Chanting Shaman, which is a 1 first level intellect card. Gain 50% mana regen for each nearby ally. This is very good when you start having team fights if you find yourself having mana problems. I don't pick this up early because it's not useful when you're solo laning, because it only activates if you have a nearby hero ally. Next up, Coin Master. This is what I usually start with. Gain 8 bonus gold every 10 seconds, increase to 16 bonus gold while out of combat. Yours might be a little different because mine is at level 3. That is the bonus to leveling up cards, by the way. This is great because it allows you to, even if you're being harassed out of lane, you're still getting a good amount of gold every few seconds. Next up, Exoskeleton. Reduce damage taken from enemy heroes by 6. This doesn't mean basic attack. I think this just means all damage taken by enemy heroes. Or taken from enemy heroes by 6. It's not a huge difference, but it might be enough to save your life. Next on Growth, this is the weird one. The Mother Tree. Gives you 4.4 health regen on its own, costs 1 vitality and 1 agility. This is one of the few agility cards in the deck. There's 2. And it gives you Jungle Restoration, 50% mana regen and 2.2 health regen when in the jungle. Sevarog can go through the jungle. He's not really a good jungler because his abilities are not geared towards it. You can do some jungling once you get into the later game, but mostly the Mother Tree is just for that 4.4 health regen. Next up, the big growth card, the Growth Totem. You notice it costs 4,500 gold. It's not doesn't use ability points. But it has 2 big things. The first is the Grow passive, gain 1 power and 20 max health every minute. This does not stop stacking. It will continue to go as long as you have Growth Totem equipped. Next is the special ability of the growth cycle, of the growth affinity, namely Cultivate. The cost of this card goes down by 500 with every attribute point you purchase. So as long as you get to 9 attribute points, Growth Totem becomes free. It doesn't matter if you have 3 in each stat, Growth Totem is free at that point. Next, we'll look at the death cards. First off, Taskmaster. If you know that you're going to be facing a highly aggressive combo in lane, or if you know your opponent, Taskmaster is good to have. It's 1,000 gold, so that is you'll have no stat points to start with, but you'll have Taskmaster, which is the active ability of Cannibalize Minion. 50 mana and 100 second cooldown. You sacrifice an allied minion and regenerate health equal to 10% of its current health. This is better used if you have a minion fresh coming out, especially if it's the Siege minion. You'll see the Siege minions when we get into the game. I'll try to point them out. Because this is a lot like Lich in Dota, except instead of giving you mana, it gives you health. Next, Death is where most of my big cards come from with this deck. First off, the one I like to start with if I can get to it quickly enough, is Awaken the Emmerich. 17 power and 8.8 health regen. That is a good amount of health regen. but its ability is where it shines. Toxic Horde. When you activate it, it costs 100 mana and has a 2.5 minute cooldown. Convert all nearby minions to your team and grant all nearby minions Death Touch and Drain Life. I'm not aware of what Death Touch really does, because it doesn't. That is one thing this game needs, is it needs to explain the abilities a little better. But those minions become tougher because they have health. They have vampiric attacks. This is a great way to turn a lane around onto your side. If the enemy is really pushing hard and they've got a huge minion wave, get near it, activate Awaken the Emmerich, and bam, you have a huge minion wave pushing the other direction. Next up is one of my personal favorite cards for this deck, although it doesn't make a lot of sense, is the Sevarog Initiate. 410 health and 48 ability armor. Sacrificial Link is a great active, 75 mana, 35 seconds. Create a link with an enemy hero. Both heroes take 8% max health in ability damage per second. Continues until link is broken by distance or interrupts. Basically, this can kill somebody. This will kill somebody in 13 seconds. It will kill both of you in 13 seconds if neither of you die, if neither of you takes any other damage source. This is great for Sevarog because the way I play him, you have a ton of health regen, and this doesn't cancel health regeneration. And the final card, this is kind of your end game card, even though it's not it's actually just as expensive as Sevarog Initiate, but it's a little bit better in the long run, is Vampiric Blade. 15 power, 20 attack speed, and 240 health. Overflowing Feast active. Gain 150% lifesteal for 3 seconds. Costs 100 mana and has 75 second cooldown, but you also get 10% passive lifesteal. Vampiric Blade is a great endgame card because Sevarog, he actually can do quite a bit of damage. His physical attacks actually get pretty powerful eventually. There are some other cards I could put in here, but I decided to keep this one a little smaller. Next up, we're going to look at the gems. You can actually look at them over here on the left. For the Vitality gems, because I did not put any Agility gems in here because the only Agility cards I have are the Mother Tree and Vampiric Blade. And having just a single gem in here, you only have 6 at once. Anyway, let's take a look at the Vitality gems. First off, Quick Exit. Gain 350 move speed for 4.9 seconds when leaving base. This doesn't sound like a lot, but it helps you get back to lane faster, which is always a good thing. Next, we have Ferocity. Up to 40 attack speed gained based on your missing health, and it also gives 2.5 power. This is just a gem I'd really put in to help out, because Sevarog, he can take a ton of damage, especially at the higher levels when you have a ton of Siphon stacks. So having something that gives you more attack speed is not bad. And then finally, Improved Health Regen. Heal for 0.2% max health per second, increases by 0.2% every second while out of combat, up to 6 times. So you can actually have 1.4 health regen every second gained from Improved Health Regen. This is basically a gem-based version of the Heart of Tarask from Dota. It also gives the one I have, because you can actually have multiple copies of a gem that give you different base stats. So mine actually gives me 60 health and 6 basic armor. I actually chose that one because it gave me those stats. Now for the Intelligence gems. We have Auto Mana Potion first off. Gain 1.5 mana regen for 15 seconds when you fall below 40% max mana. This happens once a minute. This is great because Sevarog does occasionally have mana problems. Next up, Healing Spells. 24.8% mana regen that you get for just activating the gem, and for every time you take ability damage, you heal for 3.1% of that damage. It's not a great heal, but it might be enough to keep you alive, especially in the lane you're going to be fighting in. Then finally, Overpowered Spells. 3.5 attack speed, 6 basic armor. Abilities deal 20% bonus damage and cost an additional 30% mana. Because Sevarog is so big about using his abilities to cause damage to get kills to build Siphon stacks, or soul stacks, Overpowered Spells is a great thing. But this is also where you have the Auto Mana Potion come in. Because using this gem, you will lose a lot of mana very quickly. Alright then. A couple of final notes before we go into the game. I'm gonna talk about one of them here right now. I do have a correction I need to make regarding something I said last week about the stat points, where I said that Vitality gave you shields and armor. It doesn't, actually, unless you have the armored gem for Vitality, which gives you a shield, but that's a gem. First off, Agility gives you attack speed and basic defense, so this will give you physical armor and attack speed. Somewhere between Vitality and Agility, you gain lifesteal at higher levels. I don't know which one is which. I don't know which one that is, though, so I'm not going to comment on that. Next up, Vitality gives you health and health regen. And like I said, one of these two, or a combination at higher levels of Vitality and Agility, gives you Lifesteal. But Vitality is only about health and health regen. Then finally, Intellect, it says gives you mana and mana regen. It will also give you some ability armor at higher levels. I wanted to clarify that before I go on. Alright, let's get going. But first, one thing about how I'm going to do this series is just to help myself be able to show off the characters reliably. I am going to be playing these on solo versus AI against veterans. There are 5 levels of AI in this game: Introductory, Easy, Intermediate, Experienced, and Veteran. I'll be playing on Veteran to give you guys an example of what you might be facing in the game. Also because the game does require you to play a full AI match before you can do anything else. Alright. I'll see you guys on the other side. Alright. We're getting in. The game is lagging slightly, but alright. Like I said, this gives you a chance to select your deck. I will be choosing my tank deck like I just showed you guys. And I will take 1 point in Vitality to start with and pick up Coin Master first. The game does occasionally take a little bit to load up the artwork and such. Alright, now first off, hit control, left control, to bring up your abilities. It's very important that you choose the right ability, of course, and you can always change your build based on what you're facing. I'm going to start with Siphon, my Q, because that way I can start building my stacks up quickly. Also, any chugging you see in the frame rate, that is actually happening on both the recording and on my end, so. Alright, I'm up against Yin and Steel. Luckily, okay, this is just getting I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of a frame rate issue for some reason. Okay, I actually DC'd there for a second. But yeah. This is the role Sevarog plays, is he fights 2 enemies at once usually, because he is the offlaner. I can actually fight one of these at a time without too much issue, because Steel is meant to be a supportive tank in this case, whereas Sevarog is a solo offlaner. He's able to fight these guys. There is what you saw with that hand. There is the Siphon ability. That is the main AOE. That is never going to increase. This is how you can target with Subjugate. It is your only long range skill, like I said. It's also one of your big initiators. You want to dance, Steel? Okay. Also, as the solo offlaner, do not be afraid to do something like that, where you can trick the enemy into hitting you. Because remember, melees have that cleave, so use that to your advantage, so your opponent hits you under the tower, and you can actually get the tower to help you kill them. Now, I'm at level 4. I haven't been talking about what skills I've been putting in. I'm gonna go ahead and recall real quick, so I can heal up and get back to base, so I can get some more cards. You can actually open this with Control G at any time. You can also open it with just regular hitting G at all. And get my exoskeleton. But like I said, I'm at level 4 right now. I've already got 2 points in Siphon. I did that at 1st and 3rd level. 2nd level I picked up a point in Subjugate, and then 4th level I picked up a point in Phantom Rush. Phantom Rush I'm probably going to leave there until I've maxed out everything else. Or until I have no choice otherwise. Because Phantom Rush is only got 1 use, and it's, like I've said, it's just a very limited skill. It's a good skill, but this big guy you see here is also the siege minion. I mentioned those back during the intro stuff. when I was talking especially about Taskmaster. Alright, now you see at level 5 is when you pick up your ultimate here. Now, they've gotten actually quite a good push on me going here. But yeah, see, you can also hit G, just open that. Like I said, they've got a good push going on me, or they did, until they backed off. Right there, you see my ultimate. It's just a single swing of the hammer. Luckily, Steel cannot actually fight me at this point. I've got 2 levels on him, and I'm at 14 of my stacks. You guys will see what I mean about the changes to Sevarog's appearance once I hit 20. Whoops. Mess that up. Alright, I'm currently sitting on 4 out of 6 points in Vitality. I don't have enough money or points to buy anything else, so we're just going to head back. I had to come back because of health reasons. If I can get 2 siphons or 2 ability kills on an enemy, on Yin or Steel, or 1 on each, I can actually go ahead and get to 20 and show you guys the look. Whoops. That I royally messed up. Oh, they're there. That right there, what I just did, is the initiation I was telling you about. Yin is my major target because she is their carry. I can initiate on Steel and win, because he's only level 3. I'm level 7 now. That is one problem with the way the AI plays this. They're not terribly intelligent about some things, like their initiations and when to retreat, but the AI is still good for training purposes, at least. And like I said, I'm playing against the AI for these videos just so I can show you guys reliably so I can reliably get a hold of the characters I need to play for the guides. Now you see I've already got 3 points in Siphon at level 7, 2 in Subjugate, and now I've maxed out Siphon. The reason for that is because Siphon, while you don't have to use Siphon to get the kills for the stacks, it's a lot easier to do it with Siphon because of how quickly it releases. And there you see the first point, the first tier at 20. Hard to tell? Look at my shoulders. I'm no longer just the ragged Wraith. The Ragged Wraith, I should say. Instead, I've got some armor now. As you gain more stacks, that armor gets bigger. At 140 stacks, I'm gonna admit it looks a little bit silly, but Yin, I'm twice your level, and I hit harder than you. You want to dance, Steel? Okay. Like I said, the AI is occasionally a little brain dead in their abilities and how they use their stuff, but for example, that chart there is Steel's big initiator. Or one of the two. He's actually a very strong initiator. He's also very tasty. Oh, and their jungler has come out to play. Hello, Chimera. Chimera's going to be the next character I do a guide on, but that'll be in 2 weeks. Because Chimera is actually my best jungler. Alright, luckily now that I've got 10 points spent, I can actually pick up Growth Totem. You want to get Growth Totem as fast as you can. You want to get 9 points or just get as close as you can and then spend the gold if you have to, but Growth Totem early on, if you can get it early in the game, like I've gotten it sub 10 minutes. Growth Totem is a very, very useful card to have because of that stacking bonus. One thing you might notice I'm not talking about is warding. That's because to get a ward, you actually have to use cards, and I'm not a fan of doing that. You probably want to ward if you want to be competitive in this game. I don't. I'm just using this to help people get better at it. But yeah, you see, I'm being initiated on by 3 enemies, and I am not really giving a crap. Sevarog is tanky once he gets going. There you see Phantom Rush being used so that I can get an the initiation and a triple kill. And now that I've now got my my Subjugate and my Siphon at max level. Skills max out at 3 in this game. I'm gonna go ahead and head back. I do not have any ability to spend anything, but that gets me a point in intellect. I'm going to keep hold of Coinmaster for the moment, just because I need the extra money. I need 2,000 more, and then I'll be able to pick up the Sevarog Initiate. To do that, though, I will have to ditch my Exoskeleton and my Coinmaster currently. If I get 4 points... Actually, wait, no, I won't. I'm sorry. I thought I only had 10 points in my growth, in my vitality, but I have 12. Now, normally, as a tank character, you would not be the first. You would not be one of the ones to kill your tower early. That'd usually be your right lane and then your mid lane, and my tower should have fallen last. Unfortunately, plans don't always go that way, so... Although, luckily, my mid laner seems to be doing her job. That is one thing about this game, though, is it does get quite visually busy quite quickly. And there at level 12, I finally pick up a second point in Phantom Rush. One thing you'll notice about the AI if you play this game and you play against the Sevarog is it tends to start with Phantom Rush early. Because the AI is a little bit silly about that. It doesn't like being cornered. So it likes the ability to escape from you. I can't blame it, but starting with a defensive ability has never been my strong suit. Yin, you're a carry. I'm a tank. I will outfight you, even at my low health. And there is level 2, is the 50 tier. You'll notice my shoulders just got a lot bigger. Alright, now I'll finally get rid of Coinmaster. And pick up Sevarog Initiate. Wait for my mana to regen, and then right back to lane. Sevarog really thrives in lane, and once you start team fighting, he thrives mixed into the middle of the enemy. Because he is, like I've said before, he is a tank. He's a main tank. I'm going into the mid lane now to help out. Because Chimera's here, and he's trying to chase down a teammate of mine. I might be able to get something here. No, I'm not going to be able to get a pick, unless I do this. Oh, I get to face... This Countess here is their mid laner. And now she's a Meadle. That is another thing. Even if you're the offlaner, don't be afraid to go wandering once you think that the time is right. And time will be right once the first couple towers have fallen. All I'm really doing here is just getting this camp low so I can actually do something like this. Oh, they destroyed my tower. Alright. Now this does happen. I mean, perfect play is impossible. Because perfection is an ideal that needs to be strived for and never achieved. Yin's got some health regen going on there, but let's get over to her and stop it by beating her. Now, I will admit also that Paragon games usually go pretty quickly. Around the 15-minute mark, which is where we are, the game is actually usually starting to wind down. These games go very quick. I'm delaying intentionally so that I can show a little bit more about how playing Sevarog. You'll notice that I'm at level 14, and I've only got one level left on Phantom Rush. The game maxes you out at level 20, but honestly, your skills max out at 15. Wandering over here to help take out their tank. And there you see me using my ultimate for the kill. I could, of course, have used the Sevarog Initiate, but... in fact, I'll do that pretty soon. I also want to give you guys a chance to see Sevarog at his highest amount of stacks, which, of course, is 140. Go ahead and head back real quick. One moment. I do need to go back because you notice these jump pads you have at the edge of your... these jump pads you have right here at the edge of your fountain. Those actually disable if the second tier tower falls. So if this tower falls, my team doesn't have those jump pads anymore. Now you see, the reason I aimed ahead of her like that is, like I said, Subjugate has a delay, so you need to actually compensate for that. As soon as I get a chance, I'll show you this. As soon as I get a chance with an enemy nearby, I'll try to show you all this Sevarog Initiate ability. It's not very flashy. Oh, hello, Grim. Grim will also be one of the guides I do soon. I've still got some characters I need to get better at, because I just haven't played them as much, so I don't know them very well. But Grim is one I know. Now, I said I would show you guys Sevarog Initiate, but I'm not going to use it on Chimera. Actually, now I will. There, you see the link? And he and I are just taking a ton of damage. He was taking more of it. Or he was in worse shape. The reason I didn't want to use it on Chimera originally, you'll see in the guide for him. One more, and then I get the next tier. I'll probably have to stop at the third tier. There we go. That's the third tier. The only difference between this and the final tier is you take those spikes and you extend them out about 5 feet. I gave you a chance to run, Steel. Yeah, that thing you just saw was me eating an ultimate. I've eaten several ultimates in this fight. I probably should not be fighting him, but it always works out. Do not mess with the Wraith Lord. What do I need? Alright, let's ditch Exoskeleton. Take Awaken the Emmerich. This is basically the strongest tanky build I can do with this deck. You'll notice my health regen is now 19.8 per second, and I've got over 3,000 health. 3,000 health is actually very rare in this game, outside of the tank characters. And Sevarog of course, has the ultimate, probably has the highest possible health pool. Since you can always build more siphon stacks. 140 is not the maximum you can have, it is just the final tier of armor. I'm gonna say, actually, the rate this is going, I might hit 140. And then you see the big guy with the trident there, that is the super minion you get for destroying an inhibitor. Unlike League of Legends, though, these inhibitors are never going to respawn. The only way the enemy can stop the super minions now is to kill my entire team and then win the game. And that's really not going to happen, because this is their core. And it's currently at 50% health. Yeah, this right here, what I'm doing now, is kind of that's what Sevarog's basically meant to do, is tie up a lot of the enemy team in fighting. And occasionally eat them. I do need to retreat, though, because, like I've said, I'm very strong, I'm very sturdy, but I'm not invincible. I finally pick up Ferocity, so I can actually have considerably faster attacks now. And there's the victory. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed this. I didn't get to show off 100% of the build, but that's because you never really do. This final screen shows you your net worth along with everybody else's. The cards you and anybody else had equipped. Our Grux had nothing equipped. It also shows you how many points each person spent in agility, vitality, and intellect, along with kills, deaths, assists, and minion kills. I'm a little bit extreme on that because, again, Sevarog is my main, and this is AI games. And here we have the final screen that gives you a tally of the reputation you earned, how many stars you earned for the victory or playing the game, your mastery assessment. You do actually get a first game of the day, and then your daily quest stars and how many you completed, and then the final tally. You can also check the scoreboard, but that's what you see at the end of the game. Well, folks, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to try to get better at doing these guides because I've never really been much of a guide maker, or at least not of video guides. Hopefully I do better on the next one. Please let me know in the comments what I can do to help improve this. You can also favorite or like the video if you enjoyed it. Tune in next week for the first match in the War of the Exemplars, which is what I'm calling the casting for this. And then 2 weeks from now, I can already go ahead and tell you my next planned guide is for Chimera, the jungle warrior, because he is my main jungler. He's one of my 2 main characters after Sevarog. Well, folks, I have been D. This has been Rise of the Wraith Lord. So good night and good gaming.